I know I went over this in the last video, but you just slowly keep adding fluid. Welcome to RCindustry. Well, hey, it's Rick here, and today we're going to get out here in the garage and we're going to work on the Chrysler. So a lot of you watched the video that I did when I troubleshot the Chrysler convertible, the Sebring 2006, touring sedan or whatever. I don't know what that's really what it's called. I'm just making that part up. But anyway, you saw me diagnose the problem with the top, and what we did was I ordered this winter. I got a new cylinder here for it, and then of course we got our hydraulic fluid and our syringe to fill the thing back up with. But if you haven't watched the first video on the diagnosis, I'll link it to the end of this video, somewhere probably right up here. But yeah, just click on that and watch. But I'm not going to bore you with how to take the interior apart in the back to get to the pump and the cylinders, because if you watch that video, you'll already know how to do that. But I know there's been several of you that have asked me, when are you going to put the new cylinders in, because they have a similar issue. So today's the day. So thanks for coming in along, and let's get started. Show you more. Okay, guys, like I said, if you go back and watch the first video, you'll see how to take all of this out. I didn't want to go through that again. We've already done that. So let's talk about the cylinder here. You can see this is kind of wet down in here, and that's the way it was when we pulled it apart the first time, because that cylinder is wet. If you get down here and touch that, it's kind of wet, and it leaks. I think it runs down off of the top of this connection, and it kind of drips right there and then puddles under the seat. So this is all new territory for me. So I guess we're gonna take that nut off. That should pull this pin. The only problem I see is these are supposed to be the replacements for this, and you can see by comparison, just looking, that that one is a lot bigger around than that one is. So I'm going to pull this one out, and before we unhook it and everything, we're going to compare and make sure it's the right one. If not, we have to source some different parts. All right, show you more. Okay, so let's zip this out of here. And, this is, like I said, this is all new territory, so we might be screwing up like Hogan's goat, I don't know. All right, let's get something and pry that off of there. All right, show you more. Okay, so the top, I've got the top up because you have to raise the top up to pull that bolt out of the top of the cylinder. That's the part like right there. So let's get that pulled out of there, and then we should be able to pull this cylinder down out of there once we take this bracket off. All right, show you more. Okay, so we got that bolt off of there, and then that cylinder just slips down out of there. I've got it laid right here. So this is the one, and you can see it's leaking out of the top of where this packing's at. So and dribbling down along that line, like I said, and dripping onto the floor. So on the end of this thing up here, there's this this thing here, and this little retaining clip snaps in. It snaps into this. It's kind of like a little snap ring. If you look, if I could ever hold on to that thing, if you look, you'll see that's got a little snap right there. So and you can see the bevel is in, so it'll snap in. And then you got these little foam doogie whoppers here. I guess that's probably for anti-rattle. So they look to be appear to be the same thickness, and overall length. I don't know about the length of the rod. We'll have to hook it up and charge it to make sure that it's the same as this one. But the overall length of this is the same. It's just the diameter of this is bigger. So, yeah, I hope that it pushes the same rate as the other one, because if not, then we're going to have to replace that one as well with one like this. So, yeah, I don't know for sure what'll happen, but let's take this off. And we know that we'll have to bleed the air out of the system, because, you know, that's back up in here. You've seen that on the other video. So I pull that plug out and different things. So let's get this switched over here onto this one, and then we'll see if we can bleed some of the air out of it, and we'll have to add oil, hydraulic fluid, whatever. All right, show you more. Okay, so what we got here is these are just kind of like a brake fitting. This is an 11 millimeter, and I just screwed them out of there. These are flexible, so this thing can pivot, and you can see they've got a seat down in them, and they look similar to what's in here. Take that cap off, so I think that's going to work. So I did get a pan because I knew it would probably, you know, want to leak fluid out of this cylinder, and it did. So we're going to get the new cylinder put on there, and then we're going to bleed the air out of it. All right, show you more. Okay, so I've got the cylinder setting up right here, and I'm going to make sure that nothing's in the way when we go to drain the air out of this. So I've got my syringe full of my fluid, just like I did in the other video, and I'm going to go down in here and push this into this until it wants to run out. It's hard to do that two-handed, so just trust me, that's what I'm going to do. And then we're going to stick the plug back in it, and then we're going to run this and get some of the air out of it. And we'll probably have to do this 2 or 3 times till we get all the air out of the system, because even though these lines probably have fluid in them, this thing's full of air. So, all right, show you more. Didn't mention that I want to mention is I took this one on the driver's side, the one we're not changing, and I took the bolt out up here, because when we cycle this, I don't want the top to try to go down on one side and it can't on this side, and then get all bound up and bend something. So I took that side loose, so that side should, you know, go in and out, and this side, once the air's out of it, hopefully this will do the same. So just wanted to tell you that. All right, I'm going to get me some fluid put in this, and we're going to try it. Show you more. Okay, so I've got the car running, and we lowered the cylinders down, so we're going to see it's starting to, you can tell that it's getting a little air in it, because it's got to push the air that was in the top of this cylinder out and into here. That's why you're going to have to cycle it 2 or 3 times. And you want to check over here and make sure this is not binding up on anything, and it's not. So that's what we wanted to check. So let's go ahead and make sure that doesn't get caught on anything. Okay. This one didn't come up all the way, so I think we're out of fluid. So let's put some more fluid in this, and then we'll see where we're at. All right, show you more. So we've operated this top 4 or 5 times now, and I know I went over this in the last video, but you just slowly keep adding fluid. I've got this little syringe, and when you know this is full, when this thing is level, it will run out the top. So let's see, we're getting close. Sorry, I've got the car running because I didn't want to wear the battery down. Okay, so that took another thing of that. So I'm going to go ahead and top that off, and then we're going to put the plug back in. And remember that when this plug goes in, you know, you got to kind of twist it and get it in there. I wouldn't suggest taking something and poking down in the end of it, because if you blow the end out of that, it's going to leak. So anyway, all right, let me top that off, and we'll see if the top works. Show you more. All right, let's see if this thing will go up. Oh yeah. See, before, it just wouldn't do that. All right. And you can see it's down to where we can pull it and latch it and shut it. So, all right. Okay, well, that's about going to do it, guys. You can see that the top is up. We got to lower the top back down because we got to put the seats all back in it and the door trim. But that's all the same. And like I've said it before, that's in the other video. So I hope this helps you. I didn't go into real big details, but I kind of figured that you knew, how to use tools and different things like that. I mean, we just had I think, 11 millimeter wrench, an 18 millimeter socket to take the back seat part loose. The bottom part of the seat just pops up. And again, I think we did that was probably a 13 millimeter to take those pin bolts out on the tops of the cylinders. Just be sure when you're going to do it, if you're not going to replace both cylinders, which is probably the recommended thing, but we fix things just like brand used here, so we fixed the cylinder that was leaking. But if you were going to replace just one like I did, just be sure and take the other one loose, because when you start operating it to get the air out, you don't want the top to come up halfway and kink and bend all of the linkage and everything. So, and I also sprayed some lubricant down in here on all the pins and the pivot points on both sides, just to make it, since I was down there and had it out, I figured I'd just as well do that. So, and thanks for coming along, and be sure and like and share, and just remember, we're making it just like brand used here, baby. Run, Tallulah, run! Hi, baby.